Hey folks, it's Leah. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to be doing a reaction to a music video, as you can probably tell, because I've got my handy dandy headphones on that are extremely stylish. This is from Lydia the Bard. It's called Feed Us Your Girls, and it's another recommendation from one of the subscribers on the channel, and I actually have no idea whatsoever what we're talking about in this video, but it was recommended, I believe, on Morgan St. John's Not All Men React, so it's possibly to do with like difficulties in the way that women are treated and stuff like that. So that is like about the amount of context I have going in. I will be sure to talk a lot because that's what I do best. Oh, okay. Wow, okay. We're okay. It says, so we've got a trigger warning. It says this video contains themes and imagery related to sexual violence and abuse, victim blaming, gender-based violence, and graphic language and metaphorical depictions of harm. So this is going to be a pretty serious one, it seems like. And this is, I'm looking at it's called the official animatic video. So I'm assuming it's like animated. Bracing myself. Might be a rough one. Feed us your girls, it says. Young girl or a pretty meal. The line is just fine. Okay, I already have goosebumps. Like, I have chills. Oh my god. Okay. What did she say? Young girl or pretty meal. The line is just so fine. Yeah. Ugh. Little Red walked out alone, joining the buffet of the night. Joining the buffet of the night. See the wolves, they wait and watch now, hoping for a bite. Fresh meat on a busy street, the minute you're out of sight. Little Red walked out alone, joining the buffet of the night. I have just continued to get waves of goosebumps this whole time. This is pretty powerful stuff. Oh, I just got another wave. I think part of why this is affecting me so much is because they really are using a lot of imagery of like Little Red Riding Hood, and it's a kids thing, right? Like we treat it like it's for children, and it's just so, it's really chilling as like an analogy to think about, like, because predators don't care if you're a kid. They're predators. That's probably even better for them, honestly. And it's like just sort of that like innocence, and like you hope that kids are someone who like people want to keep safe, and it's just twice as gross when they don't. And I think that's sort of why I'm having this effect in my body, is just this like there's some definite disgust happening, but also just like so much sadness. Yeah. Little Red, she knows these streets, so why should she be afraid? She walks out with a blood red cloak, but red's his favorite shade. You'll attract the wrong attention, wearing colors such as those. Boys will be boys, wolves will be wolves, but what does mother know? Feed us your girls, the wolves shout out. Feed us the ones with curves, the ones without. Oh, yeah. So, and sort of, so, sorry, the one that really made me kind of shiver was the Feed Us Your Girls, the ones with curves, the ones without, which just makes you think of like a little girl, right? It's just, it's, yeah. Oof. But I think like, just sort of going back to something that, as I said in a previous React video, I do kind of try to let songs play for a little bit so I can kind of get a bit of the vibe, instead of like if I pause it every 2 seconds, like you don't actually get to hear the song as a whole. And I think like for the most part, artists do expect you to just kind of like put on a song and experience it as a unit. And so I try to do sort of a balance between commenting as I go and also trying to kind of get that more holistic view of art. And so going back a little bit, she said something about, she knows these streets really well. She goes out in her bright red cloak.
And then we get into the sort of the rhetoric around like, why would she wear his favorite color? And it's like that. It's that victim blaming that they talked about in the trigger warning up front, where suddenly it's just like no one is responsible for the violence that's committed except the person who commits the violence. And yet here we are asking these questions like what you were wearing and why you would be out alone at night and all of these different things. And it's like, right, but there's only like one party that actually committed violence, so they are squarely to blame for the violence that they commit. Like, this is not rocket science, you know? She's out here minding her own business and he's out here attacking her. One of these things is fine and one of these things is not. It's just, it's infuriating, and it just keeps getting me right in my soul when she talks about stuff that kind of reminds me of kids. And it's, yeah, but, and it's, I mean, it is important to acknowledge that stuff happens, but it just affects you in a way that it, even more so than it does when you're talking about this stuff happening to grown women.
Feed us your girls from plate to mouth, honey, or the entree when you dress like that and mother's not around.
You're the entree when you dress like that and mother's not around.
Don't arrives and dinner scraps are on the street from just last night.
Oh, the whispering. That's... my body is having trouble with this. I just keep getting like chills and stuff. This is, I mean, obviously very effective art, because you don't just have your body respond this way to something that's not well done. Obviously, she's done an amazing job with this song. And the video is really good too. Like, full credit to whoever, like, there's, I think early up at the top of the video, they were talking about who had made the video. Like, I'll make sure I go back and like shout that person out, because this is really, really amazing work. Just like sort of the like painting an image with sounds that you get from just the that she puts in of like people actually whispering. It's just so chilling, right? Because like I feel, well, I mean, I have anyway, but I feel like most people have had that experience where like something bad has happened. It can be any number of things, but you feel like everyone knows. Even if they don't, you feel like you're just wearing a poster on your forehead, like, this thing happened to me that was bad. And you feel like everyone knows, even if they don't. And like this sort of like sense of like everyone's whispering and everyone's talking about you. And like, it just makes that experience so much harder when you feel like everyone's whispering, right? And so I think the whispers really kind of got into my bones when I heard them. But like, it's a very good way to kind of capture that feeling, because I think so many of us have had that. I'm going to go back to just after the chorus.
Don't arrives and dinner scraps are on the street from just last night. People whisper it's a fault with a red so very bright. Silly girl, a common whore, someone cover up the sight. No one likes to see leftovers by the dawning light. And there's a buffet every night. The little wretch in Mueller's Woods.
The waves are still coming. I just keep getting wave after wave of goosebumps. Like, it's nuts. This song is having a really like profound impact on my body right now. The name calling, that's I think that's what's hitting me so hard right now, is like the name calling, because like that is exactly what happens when something happens to a woman. And not only like is it her fault, like she is the problem. So she gets called all these different names. Her character gets put into question. It's so gross. It's really, really gross. And she's doing too good a job of capturing that for my skin to like, it is just constantly bumped since this song has started.
And there's a buffet every night. The little wretch in Mueller's Woods. Each tree and every stone, doesn't matter either way when there's a wolf inside your home. You can hear the growlings, you throw the dog a bone. You'll catch more bees with honey, dear, but what does mother know?
I need a minute, I think. Okay, so let me get the words pulled up. So she said, Little Red, she knew every tree and every stone. Doesn't matter either way when there's a wolf inside your home. And this kind of brings me back to, I guess, a conversation or an idea that I became familiar with some years ago when we were talking about sort of this stranger danger attitude to violence, and, you know, how all of this stuff about like don't walk alone at night, don't wear certain things, and so on. It really misses the point, because about 3/4 of cases of sexual violence happen by someone you know. And that's not something that we talk about often enough, I think, because of how terrifying it is. It just leaves you with this sense of, if I can't trust strangers, and I can't trust family, friends, who can I trust, right? It's this incredibly hopeless stat. And it is such a betrayal of trust when it's somebody that you know. And I don't think, based on like what I know about myself and stuff, that I'm like crying because I relate from experience necessarily, but it's just I am a fairly empathetic person, and I just, thinking about being in that situation where there's someone who you know and trust and they still abuse you is just so terrifying. And yeah. I didn't think we were going here today, guys. But here we are. Okay. Let me kind of straighten myself up a bit. Because of course I do, I use grandpa hankies for blowing my nose and stuff, because I'm a weirdo. Just gonna keep that hanky nearby. Okay. Lydia, you're killing me here.
Not a tease. A cloak is not an invitation for what's underneath.
So important for that change in voice, I guess. Like the first part of the song has been the main body of the song. So the verse and the chorus has been in the voice of sort of this victim blaming and so on. But we're getting, I think, to the bridge, and she's very much in the like sort of like the morally correct voice, if that makes sense. Like she's saying, no, like a little girl is not a fucking tease. Are you insane? Which is like the correct point of view. Like you can't tease someone as a child. You're a child. Like it's insane to think that way. And so just sort of like that voice of reason is coming in the bridge, which is super important with how this has been going.
A cloak is not an invitation for what's underneath.
A cloak is not an invitation for what's underneath. No doesn't mean yes. Yep.
Blood-red clothes alone at night shouldn't equal death, but the wolves are very hungry, gnashing pointed teeth. Don't care what the rapper's like, it'll eat you if you breathe.
Doesn't matter what the rapper's like, it'll eat you if you breathe. Yeah. Like it's like I think she might elaborate on that, so I don't want to get too much into it, but like it reminds me of this nonsense around like covering yourself up. Like you can wear a friggin' head to toe cover, and like there are places culturally where that's pretty much normal, and there's still sexual assault. Like it doesn't make any difference. Like it's not about what you're wearing. But I'm sure she's gonna, yeah.
Maybe it doesn't matter how we choose to wrap our skin, 'cause you prefer to blame the gods. Deal with your own sin.
Yeah, that's a really good line. So yeah, she did elaborate on that. She's like, it doesn't matter how we wrap our skin. You'd prefer to blame the girl than deal with your own sin. Yeah.
Feed us your girls. The wolf shout out, feed us the ones with curves, the ones without wood. Feed us your girls, from plate to mouth. Honey, or the entree when you dress like that. Mother's not around.
Ooh. God. That was, that trigger warning was no joke. I'm very, liberal with my trigger warnings on my videos. Like, if something even comes up at all, it doesn't matter if it's graphic, even if it's, like, very general. I like to just give people a heads up, but that trigger warning was no friggin' joke. That is, oh man, that got me right in the feels. So, yeah, I mean, excellent work. Very, very... like, obviously, like, just a wonderfully skilled songwriter and video producer. Let me get the name of the video producer as well. Okay, so it says lyrics and music by Lydia the Bard and Dara Chaplin. I think that's Dara. Sorry, I'm so sorry if I'm completely destroying your name. Video by maybe Mac DC. Whoever that is, like, really, really good work. It was such a, like, visceral experience watching that video. Like, I am just covered in goosebumps, and I've been having chills this whole time. Like, it's the kind of thing that just kind of gets into your body and, like, rattles around. And that, I feel, is an accomplishment for an artist when they're able to make art that just so completely pierces you and just, like, lives inside your body like that. Is, like, that's an accomplishment. And, so, like, full kudos to Lydia and Dara and maybe Mac DC for the songwriting and the video production here, because this is really profound. This is a really profound experience to watch this video. So, yeah, I think I said most of what I had to say during the video. Everyone watching, if you've seen my videos before, you know how I feel about this stuff. I think blaming people who have been abused by others is really fucking disgusting, and it just makes me so angry that we live in a world that does that. You know, I try to practice radical kindness, and I think as a part of that, we are required to be angry about this stuff. Like, I think we can't really show up for people if we know this stuff is happening and we're not completely outraged that it happens. And so this is part of how, I guess, just like the visceral, like, when I had sort of the period a few minutes ago when I was just, like, actively crying and, like, needed a sec, part of it is sadness. And I think part of it is just, like, I sometimes am just so angry that I cry. And I think both of those things were happening, where, like, I am just so angry that people have to deal with that because of how sad and hurtful it is. And nobody deserves that. Being completely intolerant of violence is where we need to be. All forms of violence, we need to just really put our foot down and be like, we're not fucking accepting this. It's just not okay, until we just completely root out violence altogether. And I know we're a ways away from that, but yeah. Anyone watching who, you know, has had people mistreat them in this way, like, I believe you, and I'm sorry that you went through that. I think one of the toughest things as a content creator is who makes content like this is trying to elevate the voices of victims and survivors, while also trying to be really mindful of how that impacts lookers on. Sometimes people feel compelled to share their stories in the comments, and I read them all. Sometimes I don't feel I can publish them because I don't know if someone who's been through something similar or who is going through something similar right now is going to see it and just go into a spiral. So because of what we're talking about today, if you feel a need to share your story, like, as always, I will read them all. If you want them to be published, I just ask that you put a content note on the top, just to give people a heads up, because I think talking about these stories is important, but we also need to care for each other. And part of that is letting each other know, like, if this is going to be a rough ride. And if so, giving people a chance to kind of bypass that, I think is important. So please, like, don't feel you can't share. I will definitely read them all. If you want me to publish them, though, please put something on the top so that I can publish it. And so that I'm not afraid that someone's going to have a crisis when they read it because they were not prepared for what's in it. Your voices are so important to me, and I think they do need to be elevated. And I just want to be able to do that in a safe way. Yeah, I guess this is my request to you, so that, like, the really, like, meaningful and powerful stories that you're sharing with me can actually be shared with more people, if you so desire. And if you don't, if you just want me to see it, you can just write at the top, hey, Leah, like, I'm just writing this for you, so you don't have to publish it. Or I don't want you to publish it. Like, that's okay too. And then I'm hoping that together we can be, like, one little piece of a community where people can feel safe talking about that stuff. Deal? Okay. That is Lydia the Bard's Feed Us Your Girls, the official animatic video. This was suggested by a subscriber. I thank you for the suggestion. And I want to thank the folks who have been putting the suggestions out there, because I do feel very seen. And yeah, I hope that this react, even though it was difficult, was, like, beneficial in some way to folks who maybe it's validating for them to watch me bawl my eyes out at this stuff. Hopefully I said something that gives you peace or hope or, I don't know, support in some way or another. Yeah, I thank you so much for making it this far, because it's been a tough one. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.